As a creative entrepreneur, it can feel isolating to go it alone. Imagine being surrounded by other accomplished creative colleagues eager to accelerate the growth of their business and personal brands. I'm Philip Van Dusen, and I'm launching a membership community called Bonfire for creative pros like you, because I believe in the power of building a meaningful network. Bonfire is a hybrid coaching, training, networking, and accountability community, a place for us to share, grow, and ignite our potential together. Need more confidence about your next move? With our FIRE Milestone Success Map, you'll know what your next step should be and exactly how to get there. You get bi-weekly video sessions, private online community, a deep resource library, and exclusive access to yours truly and other amazing benefits. So come join Bonfire, a community of like-minded individuals who are as passionate as you. Visit philipvandusen.com/bonfire to learn more about the launch. Let's fuel your creative future.
Hey everybody, happy Tuesday. We are going to put our good tech gremlin hat on today because I don't know if you were with me for my last live stream, but it was rough. It was probably the roughest tech live stream I have ever had. My video went down to a low frame rate, and I got completely froze. Then I had to start the stream over. Then I had to start the stream over again. It was a nightmare. I've never experienced anything like it. So I've hopefully gotten everything all worked out, and I'm turning down the video load on my system, and hopefully this is going to be error-free. Crossing our fingers. So welcome. Happy Tuesday. Glad you joined me here today. So we're going to be talking about design survival skills, and we know it is a tough world out there right now, and we're going to be talking about some key things that you can do and maybe haven't given a lot of thought to, and some techniques that can really up your game as a creative professional. And so I want to say hate everyone who's popping into the chat, watching graphics, No Face, Amir Hassan, Quirkworks, good to see you too. And great to see you guys. I'd love to know where you're joining from. That's always really helpful. And let me get a little housekeeping out of the way here. Okay, so first of all, if you haven't joined my email list, you definitely should. If you go to philipvandusen.com/muse, you can get on my email list, and you'll get my newsletter. You'll get all of the amazing resources and videos, and you'll be the first to know about my videos and my podcast episodes. And that's how I communicate with you guys directly. So if you know, and I'm sure you know, in the social media world, it's very, very difficult for content creators like myself to actually connect with and communicate directly with the people who come and watch my content. And so this is the one way that we can do that, is if you get on my email list, then I can communicate with you directly, and you can get to know me a lot better, and you can have a direct line to me. Because listen, I want you to know this. There is no barrier here. Like, if you join my email list and you get an email from me, you can just hit reply and it comes to me. It doesn't come to my assistant. It comes directly to me. It doesn't go off into some like hello mailbox. So if you want to connect, get on my email list. Okay, guys? All right, good. We got a United Kingdom, Nairobi. Awesome. Cool. 8 p.m., 8:03 at night. Well, thank you guys for making the time to join me today. What else do we want to talk about? If you don't know about my brand strategy course, if you're a creative professional and you really want to up your game and start to really understand design and strategic design at a completely different level, and be able to sell the work that you're currently selling for more money, then you definitely want to check out my Brand Strategy 101 course, because I walk you through step by step in about 8 hours, 8 hours of content, how to do brand strategy from a really basic level, but it's going to really improve your strategic game. And I've had people who've been doing brand strategy for a long time who've taken this course and said that they've learned like a whole bunch of new stuff. In a way, it's kind of, as I'm told, drinking from a fire hose. It's a lot of information. but it can take you from being just a mouse pusher to really being a key business partner with your clients. So I definitely want you to check out Brand Strategy 101. If you go to philipvandusen.com/enroll, you can read more about it. Okay, so one of the things I'm going to do today is after I prepare and share my content, I'm going to do a bit of Q&A, and Peter at QuirkWorks actually is always helpful with the comment chat and moderation. So if you have a question as I'm going through the content, type question in all caps before you question. That way, if there happens to be a lot of chat, I can just scroll through and I can see the questions that people are asking. You guys are asking as I go through it, as I go through my content, and then I can really pick out your questions very easily and come back to them. So if you have any questions as I go through the content, just type question in all caps and I will come back to it. And then if you hang out to the end, I'll do a little AMA, a little Ask Me Anything. So if you're curious or want some feedback on something that you're working on from me, I'm happy to give that today. We're going to try to keep it to about an hour, so I'm going to try to dive right into it. All right, does that sound good? The question right out of the gate from No Face. I'll come back to that. Thanks for typing question in all caps. All right, guys, let's go. All right, you ready? You want to talk about some survival skills? We're going to talk about 7 key themes around survival skills for creative professionals, graphic designers, freelancers, and people who are trying to grow their businesses. And so it's a much more challenging world out there than it used to be. And so I think that we need to admit that to ourselves, and we always have to be learning and looking for new ways, new avenues to up-level our game and do things in a slightly different way, because the business environment is changing all the time. And if we stay static, then we're setting ourselves up for failure. So first of all, number 1 is communication skills. And this is something that we don't really talk about a lot and we don't think about a lot. And since we've gone remote and more than 50% of creative professionals are working remotely these days, we need to have better communication skills. And that's not only written communication skills, but it's spoken communication skills. And one of the techniques that I suggest people do in order to kind of improve this is start producing content. Because if you are producing content, you are, communicating and pushing yourself a little bit farther to be able to articulate ideas and engage people and, engage in storytelling in order to make your point, in order to share the value that you want to share. It's a great way to kind of up your game, because yes, we can type our emails back and forth to clients or coworkers, but those are kind of to a certain extent low stakes communication in comparison to doing something in a more public way. So doing some content is a great way to kind of push yourself, push that envelope, take you out of your comfort zone in order to operate in a slightly different way. It doesn't have to be huge. It could be some blog posts. It could be a post or two or an article, short article, paragraph, thought piece on LinkedIn. Another thing I suggest is to leverage video. Now, you don't have to go and start a gigantic YouTube channel, but what you could do is do some recording of yourself on video. It's a great way to start to understand, because when you look at yourself on video and watch yourself talk and see what your mannerisms are and where you stumble and where you go, and where you have a ton of filler words, that's where you start to really understand very deeply and very quickly how you're communicating. It gives you a kind of a view from the outside of how it is that you're communicating. So I recommend that you video yourself, take some recordings of yourself, and just look back at them. You don't have to post them, but just look back at them, and you're going to, it's going to be painful, but, and just like, if you're starting a YouTube channel, your first 20 videos are very painful, but just like most people, when they hear their voice recorded in audio for the first time, it sounds very weird and they really don't like it. A lot of people don't like the sound of their own voice, but this is one of those things that if you do it enough, you'll start to really understand how you're communicating, and you'll get better and more cognizant about how you're communicating. Now, 3 things that are often overlooked in terms of communicating in a verbal way with people. Number 1, curiosity. Number 2, active listening, and number 3 is empathy. And these 3 kind of go together. When you're communicating with people, actively asking questions and being truly curious about other people and drawing them out will make them feel more comfortable about speaking to you. And then when you're asking those questions, to very, very actively listen to the answers. And I know this is hard because a lot of times when we communicate with people, we're thinking about, like, as soon as they start talking, we're thinking about, like, what am I going to say next? What's my response going to be? What am I thinking? What's my opinion on what they're just articulating right now? Take a moment, take a breath, really take it in and listen. Because when you listen, someone feels heard, someone feels recognized, and there is a level of connection that happens when you are listening to people. And after you and when you're listening, try to have a level of empathy for what they're saying. And the reason why we do this is because, especially with clients, is because you want to be curious about their business, what they're thinking, what their problems are. You want to actively listen to how they're responding. And then you want to develop and think about what they're saying in a very empathetic way, because you want to care about their problem. And when you express empathy and feel empathy, you are going to want to help, and you'll be able to help solve their problem in a very different way. So those are 3 things that are very often looked in terms of communication. I just want to mention those so you can kind of maybe think about it in a slightly different way. So these are some communication skills that I want you to focus on, and I have 5 of them, okay? 5 communication skills I want you to try to focus on going forward. 1 is how you articulate your work. How do you describe your work? Think about how you present your work. There's another place where video can come in really helpful when you have some design work that you're presenting, to practice presenting it before you actually present it. So you are talking about your work, why you did what you did, what the decisions you made were to solve the problem. And what that does is it forces you to speak about your work in a very different way. It forces you to speak about your work like as in strategic terms, strategic design that's meant to solve a problem rather than design that's just, purely an aesthetic exercise. It up-levels you in terms of how you're presenting your work. That's number 1. Number 2 is you want to describe design in business terms. So as you think about, I like to say that design is art with a job to do. Like, the reason design exists is to force people to take action. That's what design does. It forces people, hopefully, to take some sort of action. And so when you describe your work and what its purpose is and how it is creating that action in people, that also changes completely how your audience, how your clients, how your creative director, if you're presenting to someone in-house, that's how they respond to your work. And also, this is a very key point, how they perceive you as a designer and a thinker, okay? It's going to change you in their eyes in terms of how mature you are, in terms of the way you approach your work and how you communicate about your work. Okay, number 3. Number 3 is presentation skills. And this is how you talk about your work. Just like a customer goes through a customer journey on a website, where they have to identify, they have to understand, you understand their problem, they have to understand you have the solution, and then they, hopefully buy from you. When you're presenting work, you're doing the same thing, essentially. You are taking people through a customer journey of what the problem is, how you have the answer to that problem, how you solved that problem, and how your solution is going to create the action that is the action that is desired. So think about presenting your work just like storytelling, and storytelling in a way that leads to selling the work in to the audience that you're presenting it to. Number 4 is learn how to manage client expectations. This is really important from a tactical standpoint when you're managing projects, and that is that you want to learn how to manage your clients directly. You want to be really clear about scope. You want to be really clear about timing of the phases of the work. You want to be really clear about the calendar. whenever the calendar slips a little bit or the client takes too long to get back to you, you want to be really Johnny on the spot with communicating with them about how that's going to affect the project. Managing in a much more active way how you communicate with your clients. And then another thing I want you to focus on, number 5, is asking for referrals. And this is something that people forget about until 2 months after a project's done. You can ask for referrals from a client while a project is going on. And that's sometimes the best time to ask for referrals because they're hopefully having a good experience with you as you're working with them through a project. And so don't be shy and focus on kind of bringing that forward in your timeline of how you work with your clients to ask for referrals of other people who might need your services with the clients that you're working on, rather than waiting a month, 2 weeks when you're suddenly out of mind and they might have different thoughts or be into something else and not thinking about you. It's a great time to ask for referrals. All right, so now number two. Number 2 is harnessing AI in and out of design. Okay, so we all know AI is completely exploding right now, and it's our job to adopt it and to experiment with it. Now, just like the computer revolution when it came about, and I'm old enough to remember before computers, when computers came around, there was a massive freak out. I actually think that there's a bigger freak out then than there was now. But creative professionals and our industry is freaking out pretty heavily about AI, and it's changing all the time. But what I would say about AI is that it's just like desktop publishing. Like at the beginning, when desktop publishing became a thing, computers became a thing for design, all the designers were like, oh, our clients are just going to design now. Well, clients don't know how to design. And so it's up to us to learn the new tool because we're going to be asked to use that tool to produce the work that needs to be produced. And the same thing goes for AI. So it's up to us to adopt the tools, experiment with the tools, and become expert at them so we know how to leverage them for our clients' best interest. So AI is being incorporated into a whole lot of tools that we use every day, like Zoom, like the Adobe Creative Suite, Photoshop, generative AI, Google, even search engines are now returning AI search returns. Email marketing platforms like HubSpot and CRM platforms like Folk are using AI in how those programs operate. Content, kind of English grammar through Grammarly. AI is doing great things for streamlining our workflow. And it's also doing amazing things for our ability to create content. If you are a content creator or you're thinking about tiptoeing into creating content, you can use AI to spark ideas around writing or design, or use it to do video editing. I'll get a little bit more into that. And I wanted to share a few apps with you that I'm on my radar right now. For generative AI through imagery, things like Adobe Firefly or Midjourney, Stable Diffusion we know about, Photoshop, DALL-E, there's a new one, Flux one, which is also super powerful, and it's kind of like a Midjourney offshoot in a way. In video and audio, there's incredible things happening in video and audio with AI. Descript is one that I've adopted just recently in terms of using it to take live streams like this and edit the text transcript of the live stream and turning it into a podcast episode. It has streamlined and made that process so much faster and so much easier. Apps like CapCut and Video and FlexClip, amazing apps in video and audio that are leveraging AI. And I encourage you to just get in there and muck around, get in there and experiment a little bit. And so in writing, ChatGPT, Bard, Claude, Gemini, list goes on, right? There's also a lot happening in the world of design layout automation through Canva and Adobe Express and Design AI. And if you do graphic design and develop color palettes for your clients, there's a lot of really amazing color tools out there now too. ColorMind, Chroma, ColorBox, some great color palette ideation tools. So you're not totally starting from scratch. And I'm not saying use these tools to like do all the work for you, but it can really move you much farther down the field and save you a whole lot of time and energy. And time and energy equals profitability. So when you are a graphic designer or creative professional and you're working, making things go faster, maintaining your high quality that people expect makes you more profitable. Number three is mental agility and adaptability. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of bring higher on your radar was being adaptable and thinking about being adaptable in this ever-changing industry. Because I want you to ask yourself a question: where can I evolve? How do you stay not static? How do you not rest on your laurels? How can I evolve? Especially people who are mid-career to late career in your creative professional journey. And one of the best ways to do this is to surround yourself with kind of really key upper level peers who are going to push your envelope in terms of how you can evolve. Because when you're interacting with other peers who are taking steps and learning things and applying new things to their businesses, you can't help but be inspired by that. And I'm going to share a little bit more about how you can make that happen yourself a little bit later in this presentation. But I want you to ask yourself, where can I evolve? How can you stay current? How can you move from your T-shaped skill set? I talk about this a lot. So you may have very little knowledge in a whole bunch of things and super deep knowledge in your core competency. But how do you start to move to a more V-shaped skill set? So you have that core competency and that super deep knowledge, learning, and expertise, but that you're starting to build in other competencies that are going to augment that. And a perfect example of that is if you pay attention to new job titles that come up, right, in LinkedIn, in job postings. 3 to 5, 6 years ago, it was UX UI. Like every job description had UX UI in it, right? Well, there's a new one out there now, and it's called prompt engineer. And there are people who are being certified in or just becoming experts in how to write prompts for AI, for generative text AI, or for coding, or any number of things that AI is used for. How do you become a prompt engineer? How do you add the ability to write really killer prompts that are going to get you the results that you want out of an AI generative device that's going to solve your problem quickly and accurately? So keep your eyes open for those new titles, because they are an indicator of kind of where the industry is going. Okay. And if you are out of work, or you're thinking of jumping to a different company or a different agency and kind of up-leveling your career, learning something like that is one of those things that can make that transition a lot easier. And it can make you a much more attractive candidate to the companies or the agencies that you're talking to, because they love that stuff, right? Remember when UX UI came out, and it was like, if you could confidently say that you could handle UX UI problems, that made you a really excellent commodity in just about every job description that came up during that period of time. Okay, another thing I want you to do in terms of agility and adaptability is I want you to pay attention to trends. I put out a trend video on graphic design every year, which is generally my most popular video of the year. I just did a social media marketing trends video. I did a trends video on website design recently. If you stay on top of trends and really pay attention to what is new in the industry or what is re-emerging, because a lot of trends aren't brand new, they're actually regurgitated with a little bit of a twist. Pay attention to trends. And if you are cognizant of those and can articulate those in your communications with people and clients, that's what really kind of ups your game and ups your social credibility in what you do as a professional. Another thing I would recommend that you do is that you embrace experimentation. Like, get out of your rut. That T-shaped skill set, maybe you're a designer. Try videography, try video editing. If you're a photographer, try sketching, try doing some hand artwork. If you're a writer, why don't you try some graphic design? Use a generative layout program like Canva. Just start experimenting. Like, get out of your rut, push your envelope a little bit, have some fun, be creative, right? You're a creative. And that even in just doing that, it can broaden your vocabulary, your visual vocabulary, your how you articulate design. It can make you a stronger candidate and can also make you a stronger commodity, and is definitely a survival tactic in today's business world. And learning those new sorts of skills, it can really help to have a broad, meaningful peer network. And I'm going to talk about a peer network community that I've started called Bonfire just a little bit later, but stick a pin in that, because one of the things that you can do in order to make a lot of these 7 survival skills really easy is to involve yourself in a community like that. And so another way to do it is actually to watch live streams like this, where I try to challenge you guys to think about things in a slightly different way. Now, number 4 is relationship building and networking. And you've heard this before, but it's who you know, not what you know, that matters. Really, when it comes down to it, your network is absolutely everything. And the thing about networking is that usually what you know comes from who you know. Meaning your network is going to be, if it's a good network, a meaningful peer network, it's going to be responsible for generating and germinating all of the new learning that you have. That's what's going to kind of keep you on your toes and keep you moving and keep you motivated and inspired and going new places and trying new things and getting out of your comfort zone, right? It's who you know that's really going to drive a lot of that stuff. And there are 5 types of professional connections that I want you to think about. And I put those on a slide just so you can take a screen capture if you want. But 5 types of connections. Number 1, peers. So these are peers who do what you do, and hopefully at your level or higher. And so this is what I would call your meaningful network. These are the people that you can partner with, do strategic partnerships, the ones who will, kind of push you beyond your envelope. They'll be experimenting things that you haven't heard of that you can try. Number 2, cross-functional creatives. And this is people who are creative professionals who but do what you don't do, meaning that if you're a graphic designer, these are photographers or video editors or UX UI people or website developers. Network connections who are cross-functional creatives are also super meaningful because they're the ones that you can actually do partnerships with and not step on each other's toes. A web developer that you know may need some graphic design. If you're a writer, may need some copywriting. And that's where the beautiful aspect of partnerships comes into play. Number 3 is client prospects or company prospects. And that is business categories of interest to you. So business categories or niches that you might want to get into, or when I say company, it could be a company that you want to work for. So this is also another place where it's a category of connections that you want to think about. So these are potential client prospects or potential company targets for, who you want to work for. Number 4 is current clients or past clients. And you want to make sure that you are asking even your current clients for referrals, but definitely your past clients for referrals, because they are a key connection for you. And you want to make sure that you shoot them a little DM or a little email every month, every quarter, just to say hello. No ask, maybe link to an article you think they'd be interested in, something really lightweight, but you're just staying in their view. You're staying in their orbit. You're keeping your name in front of them, because you never know when they're going to need something and that little email comes in from you and suddenly go, oh, Peter would be a great person to do this. I'm going to give him a ring. And so that's where your referrals are going to come from, and that's how you keep them warm. You got to stay in touch. Number 5 is mentors. These are people who have been there and done that, who are a number of skip levels above you, who have experience and who can guide you, coach you, and help you through the process and stages of your career. You can do this through groups like Bonfire where you get group coaching and mentorship. You can get this through one-on-one direct coaching. You can get this from a mentor who's a boss of yours who's taken you under their wing, someone who you've met at a conference or an event who is, much more senior to you, and you can develop a relationship and have them become a mentor. Another great type of connection. And how you start connecting with people is online networking. So conferences, webinars, in niche forums like LinkedIn or Facebook or Reddit or Discord. There's all sorts of places online. And then also offline in real life. So conferences, local meetups, chambers of commerce are really great if you're working locally. Regional groups, Eventbrite, the Business Network International, which is a huge organization. Toastmasters, the AIGA has chapters all over the country. DMI, the Design Management Institute. All of these professional organizations are a great way to network. And I really encourage you as a survival tactic to get busy, to get out of your office, to get off of online and get into real life, because pressing the flesh and meeting some human being is still how business is done. So I really encourage you to do that and want to take that onto your radar. Now, there are 5 different phases of networking, and I kind of jumped the gun and put this slide up, but 5 phases of networking. Number 1, you got to connect with people. And that's where you do that online, conferences, in real life. Number 2, ask questions. Be curious. This goes back to the previous thing I was talking about, curiosity. Be curious. And then actively listen and show empathy to the problem and what they're saying. Next one is to provide value. When it's your turn to talk, you want to provide some sort of value. What is your expertise? What can you offer that person that's going to help them in something that they're doing? It might even be just sending them an article that would be fascinating to them. But what can you do to provide some value? Number 4 is engage. So participate in the things they post, comment on the things they post. And then number 5 is maintain. Like I said previously, you got to keep those connections that you make warm. You want to stay in touch. I recommend actually getting some sort of a CRM or some sort of a calendar and putting your network connections that you want to focus on that calendar so you don't forget it. Like put it on your Google Calendar. Say connect with XYZ. I recommend doing 2 to 3 a day so you can cycle through 20 or 30 people in a month. So maintain those network connections. Okay. Now, number 5 is under the radar client acquisition strategies. Okay. You guys tracking with me? Yes. Awesome. Okay. So I want to talk about 8 ways to leverage the networks of others, right? So you have your own network and you can get value out of your meaningful network. But you can also leverage the networks that already exist, the networks of other people, to broaden your scope, your visibility, your authority in what it is that you do. And so what are those ways? What are those ways to leverage networks of others? Number 1, co-hosting. So this is connecting with someone, maybe a peer, and co-hosting a webinar or a discussion panel on some sort of a platform. Number 2 is to be a guest. So that is actively pursuing being a guest on podcasts or being a participant in a webinar or being a participant on a panel or an event. Because when events go on, there's multiple people involved, and those multiple people each have an audience who are coming to watch that person, and you are getting exposure to those audiences of others, right? You understand? Number 3 is polling. Polling is how you can, on LinkedIn or on Threads or on Facebook, you can take polls, ask questions, and then tag other people. You don't want to tag bomb. So you don't want to @ 20 people. And that's happened to me a number of times and it's annoying. So don't do that. You want to be able to tag maybe 3 to 5 people maximum and ask what they think of that poll or to respond to that poll. And that's going to bring their eyeballs to your content, and it's also going to bring their network when they start commenting or getting involved. The people who follow them, that's also going to show up in their feed. So you can start leveraging their audiences as well through polling. Then networking, just basically networking. So you are asking for referrals. And when you ask for referrals from your peer network, you're leveraging the audience of those peers or those companies that you, or your clients, or companies that you have worked for in the past. Networking, you got to ask. You got to ask for those referrals. And that is a great way to get clients and to leverage the audiences of others. And then there's you referring people. So this is something that people forget about, is that you should really be actively trying to refer others to get work in non-competitive businesses. So meaning people who are creative professionals who don't do what you do. So, some writers, some video editors, some audio editors, try to keep your antenna up for jobs, clients who need what they do, and then refer them to those people, because that starts to build a level of what I like to call subliminal reciprocity, which is where you give a lot of value to other people, and eventually they're going to want to pay you back. They're going to feel beholden. So it's a way to leverage the audiences of others. Number 6 is co-creating. Co-creating is when you actually collaborate on some content with someone. I've seen this a lot, where 2, 3, 5 people will co-collaborate on a video or a piece of audio or a podcast or a post on LinkedIn. And again, the people that you're collaborating with and co-creating that content with, they all have their own audiences, and their audiences are going to be attracted to that content. So you're getting exposure to their audiences by setting up some co-creation with people. And that also goes for number 7, which is co-packaging. Co-packaging is kind of packaging your core competency with someone else's or multiple people's core competency as a package, and then using that as something that you sell or something that you represent in your agency, your practice, to others. So again, you are expanding your meaningful network of client prospects by partnering with other people in strategic partnerships and co-packaging what you do in your products and services with others. And number 8 is pretty direct. Number 8 is speaking, and that's, you can speak locally, again, at chambers of commerce or on panels or conferences or events or meetups. And speaking is a really, really great way to leverage and expand your visibility and your network by leveraging the audiences of those events. Okay? Excellent. Okay, number 6, moving on. Number 6 is content marketing secrets. And I want you to think about, here's some types of content that designers aren't using enough. All right. I pay very close attention to the sort of content that creative professionals are putting out. And I have a lot of creative pros in my community and in my free Facebook group, and I see what people are putting out. And there's a lot of things that creatives could leverage that they're not. And if you start leveraging some of these things, you're going to cut through some of the noise, because there's not so much competition in it for you. And so, first of all, case studies. Show your work. I'm totally surprised all the time how few graphic designers actually are actively showing their work on LinkedIn. Yeah, you can post it on Behance. Yeah, you can post it on a slideshow on your website. Are you posting it as a carousel anywhere on LinkedIn? Are you posting it on Facebook forums? Show your work. Show a project, a case study from start to finish, so people can really see your process. Number 2 is LinkedIn banners, right? On your LinkedIn profile, there's a banner behind your avatar. You got to think about that banner as being like a giant billboard on a highway. Everyone who passes your intersection, your profile on LinkedIn, is looking at your banner. Treat that banner literally like an advertisement, like a billboard on a highway. Show your portfolio. Show some pieces of your work. Show, have your contact information. Drive people to your website. Have some sort of call to action. It blows me away how many creative pros I see who don't really use that banner in a really effective way. and also using LinkedIn for showing your work. So carousels, videos, live stream events, etc. Creative pros aren't really pushing that envelope in that regard. Industry trend reports, that's another one. So show some thought leadership. Show people that you are paying attention to your industry or any niche category or industry that you're interested in or that you work in with your clients. Show some develop some industry trend reports. What's happening in that industry? It shows thought leadership. It could be in design, could be in technology, could be in marketing. It shows people that you're paying attention to your category, you're thinking about it, and you have a point of view about it. The point of view piece is one of the scariest for people, is that they think they're sticking their neck out, they're opening themselves up to criticism. But when it comes down to it, this is something that creative professionals are not doing enough of. And if you don't stand for something, you stand for nothing. You fade into the wallpaper, right? So it's better to stand for something and really, kind of put your neck out there a little bit, because it's going to get you a little bit of attention. Another thing that you can do is category-specific design presentations. So that's showing portfolio pieces or case studies or processes that are niche, that show niche expertise. So if you do a lot of work for restaurants, or you do a lot of work for dentists or something like that, show some case studies or show some presentations that have 2 or 3 of that niche examples, because what that does is shows your expertise in an area, and then use hashtags, tag people to kind of draw the attention to those posts, so people within that niche can see, oh wow, Peter's a real expert in dentist, graphic design, or dentist photography, or really an amazing expert in food photography. So think about, when you're showing your work, you're showing your case studies, that you're doing it within a theme, within a really directed theme in terms of the sort of eyeballs that you're trying to get to it. Okay, and then draw those eyeballs to it by using hashtags, posting it in forums that are around that specialty or that niche. And then another one, the final one I'll talk about, is competitive audits. Competitive audits is something that I never see anyone doing. I do them all the time for clients and projects, but it's another way of kind of doing a trend report to an extent, where you are taking a look at a number of different competitors within the category, and then you're pro and conning them and comparing them to each other. You could be an expert or do a lot of work in travel or restaurants or real estate, or work with a lot of personal brand consultants. You don't have to feature your clients or even work that you've done, but you can show a number of different companies or businesses and compare and contrast them to each other and have some thoughts and point of view about it. Because what that does is that people love looking at that stuff, number one. And number two, it shows that you are an analytical thinker, you're on top of the trends in the industry, and it's going to highlight you and elevate you in the viewpoint of anyone who's looking for work in the area that you work in. Okay, so that is that. And then I want to talk about mental health and resilience. Number 7 is mental health and resilience. Here's the problem. The problem is that we as creatives have a really emotionally demanding job. Design is high stress, it's deadline driven, clients have nothing but problems. I always used to say, like, how clients always tend to show up at about 5 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, because when people come to a designer is when they've run out of ideas and they've run out of time, and all they have left is money. And they throw the problem on your doorstep with a little bit of money and hope you can solve it for them. So dealing with rejection and critique and deadlines, like I said, and difficult clients, it's a high stress job. So the solution is that we really have to take care of ourselves. We have to develop resilience and coping mechanisms through self-care in order to make sure that we can survive the sort of industry that we're in. We want to make sure that we practice moderation in imbibing, substances, moderation and balancing work to life, making sure you're refueling yourself. Those sorts of things are going to help nurture self-confidence. You want to nurture your self-confidence through getting involved in like a group like Bonfire, or some sort of mastermind community or peer network. Mental health requires a peer network, so an outlet to share where you are, what your challenges are, what your goals are, what you need help with. Mental health requires a community, so friends and neighbors and family and significant others, people who care about you. Mental health requires a creative outlet, so I highly recommend that any creative professional develop a creative outlet outside of work, something that is not inside your job scope, because it keeps you balanced. Another thing that I'm talking a lot about now is work-life separation, not work-life balance, work-life separation, because what has happened recently is that work and life have melded together into one big blur, and it's very difficult, and we flow back and forth. We're having dinner and then we're watching TV, and before you know it, we're like answering work emails. And so there's this overlap in this graying area between work and life, and I highly recommend that you try to practice as much as possible, kind of cordon those things off from each other. Separate your work and life, because if you don't, then your life becomes life work, and no one wants that, and it's not a way to refuel yourself in an effective way. And then finally, exercise. I highly recommend exercise. It's a great mood elevator. It's good for your body, and it also is a great way to feed your constitution and your resilience. So, and then I want to talk about, finally, in the mental health and resilience sector, is mindfulness. So practicing mindfulness, you can do this through breathing exercises. You can do it through journaling and processing thoughts and problems and concerns through journaling, practicing gratitude, so writing gratitude lists, meditation, so loving kindness meditation. There's some great apps for that. I use an app called Oak, which is free, and it can lead you through guided meditation. Super helpful for people who find meditation kind of difficult. It's a way to kind of tiptoe into it. You can do mindful listening. So there's a great app called Sleep Machine, which is you can actually mix audio signals of different sorts of sounds, brown noise, crickets, space noises, waterfalls. It's a really, really cool and amazing app for doing sorts of mindful listening. And then another trend that's really, really expanding right now is color noise. So there's pink noise, white noise, brown noise. Think ASMR, so autonomous sensory meridian response listening, where certain sorts of sounds trigger emotional responses or trigger calmness. If you haven't explored how to use color noise, pink, brown, white, etc. types of noise, check it out. There's a bunch of them on Spotify, and it's really fun to play with. You'd be surprised at how it actually operates. So throwing that out there for mental health and resilience. And I mentioned a lot about through this is that how important and meaningful peer network is. And so when you surround yourself with really like-minded, ambitious people who are on a similar professional career, creative journey, it's super helpful, and it ticks off a lot of these survival tactics that I talked about today. And a peer group like that can offer mentorship, support, feedback, training, motivation, goal setting, a sense of safety, a sense of mindfulness, help with communicating, practice in communicating. They are really, really helpful for achieving a level of resilience within your professional life. And because when you surround yourself with a peer network like that, when you surround yourself with other people who are on a similar journey and they're on fire and they're really they're burning bright, you can't help but burn bright too. You want to surround yourself with people like that. And so I've launched this community, and it's been running for about a year now, called Bonfire. It's a mastermind community of established creative professionals. So it's people who are mid to late career creative professionals, not people right out of school, not super junior, and folks who are really looking to build and maintain their meaningful peer network to take their businesses to another level. And what Bonfire offers is that Bonfire offers group coaching. So from me, I'm a leader of the group. You get an immediate, overnight peer network. The peer network, we share goals with each other. We share wins and accountability for those goals. It's a great feedback loop to get feedback from other people. It makes you more confident in your decision making. If you're having trouble really kind of strategizing about what the next step for you is, it's a great mirror to kind of give you clarity on that. It offers a huge library of resources and inspiration, downloadable tools and checklists and templates. And then it also gives you an opportunity for strategic partnerships to work with other people on projects, people who don't do what you do. And so it's a really cool and amazing group. And so if you're looking for a meaningful network and you're looking for greater confidence and you want to kind of move your business forward faster, I highly recommend that you check out Bonfire. And one of the things I want you to think about it this way. When you always are telling your clients, look, you want to invest in my creative services because it's going to help your business, right? It's going to help your business in the future. You want to invest in branding or sound or video or UX UI because it's going to move your business forward and make you succeed faster. But the thing is, we tell our clients that all the time. And clients, for the most part, most companies invest anywhere from 15 to 20% of their annual revenue back into the business in the form of marketing. They spend money to make money. But one of the interesting things about creative professionals is we don't do that so much. Yeah, we spend for SaaS products and stuff like that, for, an email platform or for, some sort of Adobe Creative Suite or whatever. But we don't really invest so much in our businesses. You need to invest time and money now so you can grow your business, because you have to invest to get something back, just like we tell our clients to invest in marketing and branding. And so because when you invest in a course or something like that, that's a true investment in your education and your future, you are more committed to the outcome. So I want to ask you, when was the last time that you really invested financially in your success? And I'm not talking about SaaS services or apps or things like that, but when was the last time you really invested financially in your success? Because when it comes down to it, you really have three options in how you're going to move your creative career forward. You can do things the way you've always done them, and you're going to get what you've always gotten. That's choice number one. Number two is that you can try to improve your business and build a meaningful peer network on your own. God bless you. You can do that. It takes a hell of a lot of time. But what's the investment that you have to make to get the benefits of a mastermind on your own? So what would that look like if you had to build a meaningful peer network on your own from scratch? What would that investment look like? Let's say you go to a conference, okay? So you go to a conference, you travel, you have a hotel, you pay for the conference. Now that doesn't include the networking or the partnerships or the goals or the accountability, the support or coaching or mentorship or anything. That's just going to the conference and trying to meet some people, right? That's going to be an investment of about $3,000, $3,600. And then let's say you met 6 or 8 people at the conference, you get their contact information, and lo and behold, for some reason, they are all interested in getting together on Zoom. Then you have to gather them together. You have to schedule it. You have to get them all on the same page. All that, kind of machination and coordination is a lot of time on your part, and time is money. So let's say you invest 40 hours of your time networking and putting this group together, and you charge $75 an hour. That's about $3,000 investment right there in your time. So you put that together, and we're looking at a $6,600 investment just to even begin building your own meaningful peer network. Or you can join Bonfire. And Bonfire is a peer network ready-made of established creative professionals who are in there working, inspiring each other, and moving their businesses forward faster than you could ever imagine. And Bonfire membership, we call it Embership because Bonfire Embers, get it, and thank you, Peter Lewis, for that name, Quarkworks, who is moderating the chat. Bonfire membership is $97 a month, and that's when you pay quarterly. And we want people to invest at least quarterly because that kind of commitment to the group it takes a short period of time, generally a month or two, to really start making meaningful connections there. But then it starts paying off immediately. And so we meet on Zoom. What Bonfire is I am moderating and leading these Zoom sessions, and you get group coaching from me. 2 times a month, we all gather on Zoom for mastermind sessions. There is once a month, we have office hours, which is basically open Q&A with me and one-on-one coaching in a group setting. Whatever you want to ask. Sometimes it just turns into a big coffee talk where we deepen our relationships with each other. And 1 time a month, we have a visiting expert come in who gives a training or some sort of presentation. And I have a huge network of very senior colleagues who come in and share their expertise with the group. And then we record all the sessions, so if for some reason you can't show up and you can't make it, you can always listen to the session. We also have a private online community, so it's kind of like Facebook sort of community, but it's on the Circle platform, so it's private and gated, and no one else can come in. There are also don't know of the rules that Facebook has or any of these other groups. There's a FIRE milestone success map, so we can clarify for you how you go about the process of building your business. Like I said, there's this huge resource library of downloads and templates and tools. You get super discounted access to Brand Strategy 101, which is my signature brand strategy course. And then you get tons of feedback and peer accountability. And so if you were to join Bonfire, I will absolutely guarantee you that you will get a peer network for partnership and feedback day one. You're going to get tactics that are really clear and ways to start moving to get more clients right away. You're going to build confidence in your decision making. You're going to move forward faster than you have in years. A lot of people come into Bonfire and they're like, I had no idea how much I needed this, and I have no idea how fast I can make progress when I approach it in a different way. And that's the sort of thing that lights me on fire and makes me so happy I started this group, because I see people, catch fire, really move forward faster. And you're going to build and get new skills, new survival skills, and new methods and ideas and motivation to try new things that you didn't even think were possible for your business, that other people are already doing, and they can share with you how to go about it, so you can cut through all the noise and cut through all the learning curve that you would have if you tried to figure all that crap out on your own. Okay? And so the FIRE milestones are 4 stages. There's foundation, ignition, reach, and expertise. And it's basically a way for me to break out the kind of key resources, the 75, 85 tools and resources I have for building a business, kind of a way to logically lay them out. And like I said, there are tons of resources, downloadable tools and templates, strategy tools, worksheets, templates for emails and outreach and legal stuff and email list building stuff. I mean, the list goes on. And like I said, it's built on the Circle platform, so it's a private private platform that's got chat, and it's a repository for all the videos and a repository for all the downloads. There's got a welcome section that kind of leads you through and gives you a tour of the whole area and how you can use it and where everything is. And there's 3 levels to Bonfire membership. The base level, the membership level, is $97 a month. There's also an elevated level called the Guild, which meets slightly more frequently, and also you get direct one-on-one coaching with me every month. And an hour coaching with me at the moment is $400 an hour. So for only a $200 premium per month, you get a $400 value directly from me, plus you get a deeper level of touch from me and from the other members of the group who are in the Guild section. And then there's one-on-one mentorship with me, direct, constant, annual mentorship from me, if that's something that you desire. So if you're interested in Bonfire, I recommend that you go to philipvandusen.com/bonfire and check it out. There's a lot of information there, some of which I shared with you today. There's a ton of testimonial videos at the bottom of that page where you can listen and experience other people who have been in my masterminds before and the kind of value that they've gotten out of them. It's really pretty amazing. And the value is insane for $97 a month for what you get and how quickly it's going to move you forward. I can't even describe it. I mean, the group's been running now for a year, like I said, and the progress that we've seen in there has been absolutely exceptional. And just about everyone who joined a year ago is still there. So the churn rate is meaning churn, people coming in and out, is very, very, very low, which means a lot in terms of the value that people are getting out of it. So I really highly recommend that you check it out. And if you like my content, if you like how I think, you like my experience, read my LinkedIn profile. You can see the capability set that I have and bring to the table in terms of coaching and mentorship. You will get a lot more contact with me and help with your particular problem on a very direct level. So I recommend that you check out Bonfire. And I can't believe it, but I hit an hour on the dot. 59 minutes. All right. So I'm going to hang out a few more minutes and answer some questions. If anyone has any questions about these 7 creative professional survival tactics that I outlined today, be happy to take questions on those. Or if you have any questions about what a mastermind group is or what the Bonfire community is about or how that operates, I'd be happy to answer those here today. And so I'm just going to scroll back. I know there was a question that came in very early. So we're going to, sorry, here we go. Question: are cheap products associated with bad design and why? Well, cheap products, a lot of times cheap products have bad design or bad packaging, or they're designed poorly because they're not investing in the product, construction, design, the manufacturing of it, the quality of it, how long it's going to last. And so they're not going to invest in the design either. And so that kind of goes without saying. You look at anything in the dollar stores or whatever, they're not investing in design because it's a cheap, quick buck and they don't care how long it lasts. And the thing is that in that case, they're not building a brand. They're not building any kind of belief or equity or long-term attraction to or long-term memory that they even care about in terms of building a brand around that product. So they're not going to invest in design because they don't really care about building that equity. And they're just it's a cash grab. They're taking the money, whatever little money that is for a cheap product, and they're running. So Amir Hassan said, I have a problem to communicate with people who I don't like, but I have to work with them. Yeah, Amir Hassan, that is, you're singing the song of just about everyone who works at a company or an agency, is that we all have to work with people that we don't like. And one of the luxuries of being a creative professional who is independent is that you can say yes or no to clients you like or don't like. It's very rare that you'll start working with a client and you think they're going to be great and then they turn into a nightmare. Hopefully you can learn over time how to vet and how to really understand and do the smell test for your client prospects. One of the reasons why I went out on my own is because I'd been building brands for Fortune 100 companies for 25 years, and I just decided that I really wanted to just work with people that I liked. I wanted to work with clients that I liked. I wanted to work with partners and colleagues that I liked. I wanted to be able to choose who I worked with and who I didn't. And so as you progress in your career, if you eventually decide to go independent, that's one of the perks of going independent, is that you can much more closely orchestrate who it is that you work with and make sure that those are people that you really like. And then therefore it's a lot easier to communicate with them. That's absolutely for sure. All right. So is Canva pushing InDesign somewhat out of the way? Stanley Roberts asks, is Canva pushing InDesign out of the way? I would say no, because Canva, InDesign is used to lay out some of the most complicated and complex documents that there are. Everything from, massive product catalogs that are 400 pages long and have 10,000 products in them and massive amounts of specs. You can't do that sort of work in Canva. Canva is really for design light. It's for an amateur, or it's for someone who wants to use a whole bunch of templates and crank out some social media thumbnails really quickly. I have clients who use Canva. I have used Canva myself for thumbnails and things of that nature. My marketing assistant has used Canva for my content thumbnails, etc., even for a few simple documents that I've done. But InDesign it's like Photoshop. It's like the difference between like Mac Paint and Photoshop. It's like Mac Paint is Canva and Photoshop is InDesign. InDesign is so deep and has so much functionality that Canva cannot even compete with it. So they're not even really, in my point of view, even in the same league. And Peter from QuirkWorks says Canva's incredibly limited compared to InDesign. Yes, and Peter works, I know, with InDesign a lot. And so that's kind of the lay of the land. So you guys, this has been awesome. If anyone has a lingering question, just pop it in the chat really quick as I kind of sign off. So I would love it if you go to philipvandusen.com/bonfire and read a little bit more about the Bonfire Mastermind group. It's a really incredible group, and people are just doing amazing work in there and building deep, meaningful relationships with each other, and they're working with projects, working projects with each other, inviting people in, and they're up-leveling their skill sets and how they think and how they approach building their businesses and trying new things, stuff that they never would have thought of on their own before they joined. So I recommend that you go check out Bonfire. And for a $97 a month investment, you will wonder why you didn't do this a long time ago. And just a couple of things I would say about it is that there's never going to be more than 50 people in this group. So it's an intimate group. You're going to get to know people, and they're going to get to know you. You're going to be able to build relationships with people that mean something. You're not going to be a number. You're not going to get lost in the background of this. You are going to get visibility and personalized attention from everyone in the group when you bring your problem to the table. So I highly recommend that you check it out, and it's an incredible value. So with that, you guys, thank you so much for spending some of your Tuesday afternoon with me. I really appreciate it. It's really great to see you. I hope that you come to some of my lives a little bit later. I'm going to be going live a lot this month, so probably once or twice a week this month. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, subscribe so you can get alerted when I go live. If you aren't on my email list, you should definitely join my email list, because it is going to, if you go to philipvandusen.com/muse, you'll get on my email list. I always send an email out announcing my live streams or my new podcasts or my new videos, so you make sure that you won't miss them. And like I said at the very beginning, you can always just hit reply and it's going to come to me directly. So if you want to reach out, I'd be happy to tell you more about Bonfire or help you get to the next level with your business. So with that, thanks a lot. It's really great to see you all. I hope to see you on the next live stream, and take care.